Now we get ready for game number 5 tonight inside MSG, the world's most famous arena, where the home team, the Rangers, Pete, booked as an underdog. Florida, the road favorites at minus 125 on that money line number as of this moment. In this series, tied at 2 games all. Pete, what do you expect for game number 5 tonight inside Madison Square Garden?
Well, for the Rangers' sake, it better be better than Game 5 against the Hurricanes last round, where they got run out of their own building. I think the Rangers have been opportunistic all postseason long. They got to get the power play going, though. They're getting outplayed, surprisingly, by the Florida Panthers in this series. Florida has 5 power play goals. The Rangers only 1 for 11, so that's got to change. I think the Rangers, when you look big picture, this reminds me of past years when Henrik Lundqvist carried them nearly to the moon, but they just couldn't get that big goal. They have like 6 or 7 guys, the Rangers, that can score that big goal, including Alexis Lafreniere, who since the start of the second round is leading the entire NHL in even strength goals. That's a huge secondary scorer to go along with the Trocheks and the Panarins and Zibanejads. Of course, Chris Kreider lifted them from the dead last round in Game 6. A lot of different guys can get the job done. That's why I picked the Rangers to win this series.
You take a look, and a famous comedian once said, "I get no respect." That was Rodney Dangerfield. It feels like that's the New York Rangers' home ice advantage. More points than anybody here in the NHL during the regular season, but yet we find themselves in Madison Square Garden as an underdog. But if we look at the playoff series itself, the minus 146 price is not towards the Rangers. It's actually towards the Florida Panthers. This extended series, how does this play out, and can the Rangers be the underdogs once again and get to the Stanley Cup final?
They certainly can. I mentioned all those goal scorers they could get. And again, no disrespect to the Florida Panthers. They're grizzled. They play a physical style. They could get it done. Matthew Tkachuk, super clutch in those overtime games, as is Carter Verhaeghe. Carter Verhaeghe has 5 career playoff overtime goals in his career. I mean, that's insane. That's tied for 3rd in NHL history behind Joe Sakic and Rocket Richard. So we're talking about serious stuff there for Verhaeghe. Maybe if the game goes to overtime, you gravitate toward a guy like Carter Verhaeghe, who's still pretty underrated in the grand scheme of things. But the overtime storyline is huge here. If you look at like 3-way money line type stuff, 5 of the Rangers' past 9 games have gone to overtime, including 3 straight games in this series. So it's looking at you right in the eye. I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but it's the trend of the series so far.
Games 2, 3, 4, all overtime games. In games 2 and 3, New York on top. In game 4, it was Florida returning the favor. Plus 320 for game 5 to reach an extra session tonight inside MSG. Pete, as you compare these 2 series, we're tied at 2-all in both the Eastern and the Western Conference Finals. Which of the 2 sets do you think has a better chance of going the distance and seeing a 7th game?
That's a tough question. I could see either of them going. I do think if Edmonton goes down in this series, it'll probably be in 7, just because Dallas has struggled at home this postseason for some odd reason, under 500 at home. They need to clean that up, or it might come back to bite them. They've been able to get to this point despite that crazy statistic. So you assume maybe Edmonton could steal either game 7 or game 5. It's certainly possible. So I would say that I think that the Stars-Oilers series is more likely to go to game 7, but not by much. Honestly, they could both go 7. These are tightly contested series with physical play on both sides and also disciplined play on both sides. So it's been really fun to watch.
On a day-to-day basis, with games being played, we always see that odds market changing to lift the Stanley Cup and win it all. The Dallas Stars are the favorites here at a plus 230 price. The Panthers also tied with them at a plus 230. The Edmonton Oilers plus 290. And the Rangers, who earlier this morning were a plus 380, have now dropped to a plus 370. The Stanley Cup is yours, Pete. Who's winning it?
If I were going to say based on the rosters at hand and who's healthy, again, Hintz is healthy for Dallas now, or at least remotely healthy if he's playing a top-line role. Dallas can come at you in so many different ways. Logan Stankoven has really picked it up since the start of the second round. Him and Wyatt Johnston, arguably the best young core, duos in the entire NHL moving forward, if you're talking about guys like 22 years old and under. And then they still have the grizzled vets in Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn and guys like that. So Jake Ottinger is right up there with Shesterkin. So I understand why people view Dallas as the favorites. To me, the big question is, like, do you combine them with the Dallas Mavericks, who are in the NBA final? And I don't know if you're getting a little greedy there by doing that, but both teams have a real chance to win their respective titles, and you can multiply your odds, I guess, by considering that.
Anybody can win it. All four teams separated by less than $1.50 at this moment. Pete Jensen from the NHL. Great stuff as always.